Hello and welcome. We are learning AWS IAM. And today in this video, I am going to explain you IAM entity role. Understanding of IAM role would be very difficult for you if you are going to understand IAM role theoretically. But it would be very easy for you if you are going to understand IAM role practically. And that's why in this video, I am going to explain you IAM role using both practically and theoretically. So let's start. First of all, we are going to start introduction of role. I want you to understand the concept, then we are going for the practical as well. So here we have 5 points about IAM role. Before I am going to explain you about IAM role, I want you to find out from where we are getting this particular option. So here I am in my AWS IAM dashboard, and here we have 3 options. First, users, groups, users and roles. So from here you can create role. Now let's understand role theoretically. IAM role is an IAM identity that you can create in your account that has specific permission. If you go to your AWS IAM console, you will find out mainly we have 3 entities. First, we have user, groups, users and roles. After creating user groups, we are assigning permission to this. After creating users, we also need to assign permission. Same way, after creating roles, we need to assign permissions to the roles as well. But we have this question that why we need to use or create roles. I'm going to explain you this step by step. A role is for anyone who needs it, not just for one person, unlike IAM user. Role is for temporary access. When you need it, use it and then leave it. Now you may have this question that what is a use case? No need to worry. We are going to talk about use case practically as well. A role gives you temporary credentials when assumed, unlike IAM users for whom we create long-term password and access keys. If I have one user Amit who is going to manage my AWS EC2 dashboard, I am going to create IAM user account for this. This user have username and password, and using this username and password, Amit is going to access my EC2 dashboard. It is for long-term use case. But if you have another user named Nitin and you want to give them temporary access, then you can use roles as well. So you will get complete idea about this step by step. No need to worry. Let's talk about point number 4. You can create roles to delegate access to users, applications or services that you don't normally have access to the AWS resources. Now, the interesting part is you can assign roles to users, even application which is running inside your AWS account and also services. Now, if I'm going to create roles, you will find out that here you will get 5 use cases why you are creating role, and here you will find out different entities to which you can assign roles. So we will talk about all this step by step. Roles are designed for various use cases, each enabling specific scenario of access control and delegation. Now I want you to understand use cases as well. Now out of 5 use cases, we are going to talk about first use case known as AWS service. Introduction. AWS offers over 200 plus services for computing, storage, database management, analytics, machine learning and more. I know that you all are aware about AWS, and you know that if you have any application that you want to host inside AWS, AWS is providing complete suite of services to host application. By default, services under single AWS account operate in isolation and cannot interact with each other. Now, this is the most important part. And if you understand this, you will understand the roles as well. Now, let me explain you this. Let's say that I am inside my AWS account. I am using root account right now. And if you look at this, here I have list of all these services. Now, these services are actually under same AWS root account, but these services are totally isolated from each other. If you want to access one service from another, you cannot access this directly. As a root user, you have to give permission to the services as well. And when you want to give permission on services, then roles actually coming into the picture. Direct access or interaction between services require explicit authorization to ensure security. Now, how you can provide this explicit authorization? Using first case of role known as AWS service. This security principle is applied to limit access to only the resources needed for a service to perform its task, enhancing overall security. If you have control on one particular service, it doesn't mean that you are going to access other services as well. You have to have role assigned in order to access to another AWS services. Now, I'm going to give you practical example how it is going to work, and we are also going to perform lab for this as well. So here we have example. Imagine that you have web application running on the EC2 instance in AWS. You guys are already aware about EC2 instance, and we already covered a topic related to this. This application needs to upload files to the S3 bucket for user uploads. Here, the traditional insecure approach. Now, I'm going to explain you this, but before this, I want you to understand the use case as well. Now, let's say that I have my application. My application is actually running inside my EC2 instance. Okay, here my application is running. As a part of application, I am going to collect users, photos, pictures, videos, PDF file. Now I have to store this somewhere as well. Now in this case, I am using AWS storage service known as S3. We will talk about S3. I'm just going to give you a little bit introduction of this right now, but you don't need to worry. If you don't know anything about S3, we will talk about this in upcoming videos. But right now, you just need to understand that we can store static data inside simple storage service. I'm going to give you one normal example. Let's say that we have a very famous website in India known as OLX. If I want to sell my old mobile phone or old car or any gadget, I'm using this. Now, when you will open OLX website, you have to create your account, and then you can upload pictures of your old stuff that you want to sell. Let's say that if I want to sell my mobile, I will upload pictures of my mobile phone. Now, when you are uploading these pictures, they need to store this somewhere, right? In this case, OLX can use simple storage service to store all these pictures of old mobiles or whatever the pictures customer is actually uploading. Here we have same kind of application. Our application is running inside EC2 instance, and definitely when user will upload pictures, it is going to store these pictures over here in the simple storage service. Now, as we discussed earlier, that direct access or interaction between service require explicit authorization to ensure security. It means if application which is running inside your EC2 instance is going to store data into the simple storage service, it is not allowed by default. According to the terminology of AWS, one service is totally isolated from other. EC2 instance cannot store data into the simple storage service directly. You have to give permission. Now you can give permission using two different ways. One, we call it traditional method, and the another one is role. So let's understand traditional method as well, then we will go for the role as well. Now I am giving you exact example as they are asking in the exam as well. Okay, so here the traditional insecure approach, store access key on EC2. As you know that when we create user, I am user having this access key that we can store in the EC2. So our application will use this access key, and using this access key, our application is going to store data inside the simple storage service or S3. You need to store access key and secret key for IAM user with S3 upload permission directly on EC2 instance. Okay, so this is how you can give permission. In application, you are using access key and secret key. Using this access key and secret key, application is going to store data inside S3. Now, you know that we have access key and secret key for user, so we need to use this. Okay. This is risky because anyone who access the server can steal these credentials. Now, this is like problematic and it is not best practice according to the AWS. We should not do this. Now what I am doing, I am going to give you practical example that how the things are working. We are going to set up everything. Okay. To set up everything, here I am going to use some codes as well. Okay. I am going to provide you all these codes below this video, so you can download if you want to practically understand this as well. Now, first of all, what I am doing, I am going to start with IAM role. Okay. I am going to create EC2 instance, I am going to create S3 bucket, everything. Okay. First of all, I want to create first IAM user. So I am going to the user, and here I am going to click on create user, giving name S3 access user. Okay. Now I don't want this user to access AWS console. Okay, because I am using this particular user to assign permission to my application, so my application can store data inside S3 bucket. So I am not going to provide any AWS access to this user. Next, here I have to attach policy, but right now I don't have policy, so let me click on next. So this is my S3 access user, and I am going to click on create user. So I just created one user, S3 access user right now. Now I want programmatical access. As you know that if you want programmatical access, you have to set up security credential and you have to set up access key. So I'm going to click on create access key. I'm going to say that application running on AWS compute service. For this I'm going to create this. Yes, I understood. Test. And this is access key and secret key. As you know that we are not going to get it again, so I have to store this. I am going to store this into the notepad. Okay, so here I am going to store access key, and I am also going to store this. As you know that it is very dangerous to share access key. You should not do this. Okay, so let me click on done. And here we have username as well. So I am going to copy this and paste it over here. Okay, so this is our user ready that we are going to use in our application. Okay, now second part we have is we have to go to S3 and we have to say that in which bucket we want to store our data. So I am going to the S3. Here I am going to create bucket. Okay, my app. Creating this bucket into the India, you will get complete understanding of S3 in upcoming days. Right now you just need to follow screen and you just need to create folder if you are practically understanding this. Okay, so this name is already exists. I am going to say my app 1. it is also there. Sorry, bucket name cannot start with the, yeah. So done. Now I just created one bucket and the bucket name is my app 3. I'm also going to copy this bucket name. Okay. And we also needs bucket ARN. Okay. So ARN means Amazon resource name. If you click on the bucket, you will find out property and you will find out this ARN as well. So this is my bucket name and let's make it ready. So now it is done. We are going to store our data from into this particular folder, my app03. Okay. Now by default, if we are going to run any application inside our EC2 instance, okay, we are not able to store them on the S3. By default, it is not allowed. So we have created one user and we are using this user to store data into the S3 bucket from our EC2 instance, right? This is what our requirement is. Now, this user don't have any permission. If you look at this user don't have any permission. So what we are doing, we are going to create policy. Here I am going to click on create policy and here I am going to the JSON. Okay. Here I have this policy ready, so I am going to use this. Here I have this JSON policy and this policy is allowing my particular user to store data inside this particular bucket. Okay. So I am going to change this bucket ARN. We already copied this. So here it is my bucket ARN. Okay. And this is a permission which is giving rights to my user to store any data inside this particular bucket. Okay. So let's click on next. Here I am giving name S3 put object to user. Okay. You can give any name. Let's say that to put object permission. Okay. I'm giving this name. I'm just going to copy this name as well. Okay. Saying that policy name. And this is my policy name and let me click on create policy. Now once you create your policy, you have to attach this policy with your user. So I'm going to the user, this is my S3 access user and I'm going to click on add permission. Okay, and going to attach policy and here we have this policy name S3 put object permission. So I'm going to just select this. Now this particular user, S3 access user, having this permission to store data inside my S3 bucket and the bucket name is my app3. This is very clearly defined here because here we have attached policy with this particular user and if you look at this, it is allowing put object permission to on a bucket my app03. Okay. Now it's time to set up our application. So what I'm doing, I'm going to the EC2. Now when you go to your EC2, okay, I'm going to click on launch instance. Here giving name my app server, Amazon Linux, T2 micro. Here we are going to set up key pair. If it is required, we can log in. Here I am going to create this EC2 instance into the AP South 1A. Public IP is required. Here our application is going to run on port number 80. So I am going to use port number 80. 000. I want to allow from anywhere. Now how we can run our application? So as always, to run this application, we are going to use user data script. Now if you look at this, okay, here I have this user data script and in this user data script you will find out that, see, it is S3 bucket. So I have to provide bucket name. I have to provide access key ID and AWS secret key access ID. So we have already created this user and we have access key and secret key that I am going to use it over here. So let's start with this. First of all, I am going to copy this bucket name. Okay. Now I am going to copy secret access key of our S3 access user, right? Who is having permission to put object into the S3 bucket. Now secret key. Now let me tell you, whatever I am doing right now, am I doing right? My application will work over here, but according to the AWS best practices or code security best practices, it is absolutely wrong to encode your access key and secret key over here in your code, because if someone will get access of my server, they can find out this access key as well, which is not good, which is not best practice. AWS is always against it and it is not best practice. I am repeating this, but I want you to understand the concept here. In order to access S3 bucket from my EC2 instance, I have to provide this access key and secret key, because without this, it is not allowing me to access any S3 bucket from my EC2 instance, and because of this, I cannot store the data from the application. So right now I am going to tell you that this is not right way. What is right way? That we will go for the roles as well. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, Control C. Okay, and Control V. Look at this. We have to add our access key, secret key, which is actually visible as well. Okay, so right now everything is good. Let me click on launch instance. Now we are going to test our application as well, but we have to wait for 5 minutes, because once our EC2 instance will be ready, we are able to open website or our application and then we can test this. So once my EC2 instance will be ready, I will come back. Okay, so my EC2 instance is ready. I am going to select public IP and going to paste this. Now sorry, I know that you want to watch full video, but full video is now not available on YouTube. If you want to watch full video, I want you to go to our website. When you will go to our website, you will find out our course 100 Days YouTube Challenge. I want you to enroll for this course by paying only 499 rupees for lifetime if you are from India. If you are from outside of India, you just need to pay $7 US. Once you will enroll to this course, you are going to get all full videos over there on our portal. You are also going to get certificate after completing the course, and we have just uploaded 120 videos. We are going to upload another 120 videos as well. So there will be total 240 videos. I hope we are going to meet inside the class. Thank you very much.